Hi folks, I got a question the other day when we did our Q&A thing at the Angel City Zen Center, which is something we do once a month where I don't prepare a lecture, we just kind of have a little extended Q&A session. And the question was, what is gender? And I went, oh my God, I don't want to wade into this. But I understood the question to be a little different. And it was about what does Buddhism have to say about what is gender, and not how should we treat gender and how should we deal with this and that person of this and that gender, but what is it at its fundamental basis. And my answer, and the best answer I can give, and even after researching it this morning on the internets and books and things, is that gender is, as far as Buddhism is concerned, part of karma. So what is karma? And this is why I brought my trusty little lava lamp out to try to demonstrate the way I conceive of karma as related to gender and as related to other aspects of personality and your situation in life and so on and so forth. If you look at the lava lamp, there's some wax in there or something. I think it's wax. I'm not actually sure what that stuff is. But when you turn the light on in the bottom, it melts, and then some of the wax forms little blobs, and they rise up and they exist for a little while, and then they combine with other blobs and they fall back down, and they work like that. So that's what gender is, among other things. And these blobs, as we can see from our perspective, don't have a kind of independent existence, but maybe from the blob's perspective, if they have a perspective, they probably would imagine that they do. So they imagine that I'm Bob Blob, and I'm shaped like this, and my life began when I emerged from the bigger blob and started having an independent existence, and then I died when I blopped into the other blob and stopped having an independent existence. And that would be the blob as a manifestation of karma. Karma not being just an individual thing that happens to a person, but a more generalized thing that happens to the entire system that is the person and is the world. So as far as gender is concerned, gender is one aspect of the karma that this blob has. I don't know if blobs have gender. Maybe they do and maybe they don't. But whatever the blob is kind of born with is its karma. As to what to do about gender, this question becomes very hairy and weird, and it's probably something I shouldn't get into in any real depth. But one thing I do remember very clearly from my work with Nishijima Roshi is one of the things he liked to say a lot is, I always follow circumstances. And when I first heard this phrase, I always follow circumstances, I didn't know what to make of it. It just sounded like a weird string of words. But as I studied with him and kind of kept asking him questions and trying to figure out what he meant by the various things that he said, I understood that he was using the word circumstances as a kind of fill-in for karma. He didn't really like using special Buddhist words. So circumstances were karma. So I always follow circumstances to him meant that whatever situation he found himself in, he would try to follow those circumstances, that situation, that what he was at that moment and what the moment itself was, and accord with it. So that's probably the way that one, as a Buddhist, ought to treat whatever circumstances one finds oneself in. This doesn't mean that you should always do what society expects you to do, or what is specifically demanded by, I don't know, some sort of not higher is not the word, by society. Yeah. So you can find a way to make it work for you, and if you can find a way to make it work for you, then that's great. But fighting against circumstances is probably not a great idea. And I realize that life is tough no matter what you're born as, and everybody is having a hard time just getting through it. So I don't have any quarrel with somebody who takes a very strange, non-standard trajectory in their life for how to deal with the cards life has dealt them. I think, whatever you do, as long as it doesn't hurt somebody else, then go ahead and do it. I don't care. So I'm not trying to repudiate or hurt or whatever, or criticize somebody for doing what they do. But if you want the Buddhist perspective on things, the sort of bedrock Buddhist perspective on things, would be that fighting against your physical circumstances that you find yourself in is probably going to consume a lot of your effort and energy that might be better directed towards something else, towards if you're going to be a Buddhist, towards meditation or towards whatever else you choose to do, rather than fighting against what nature has sort of provided you with. And there's another aspect of this, if you want to really go into Buddhist metaphysics, is that these things aren't random. That there is a sense in which you were involved in choosing the circumstances that you find yourself in. And I know this is a really controversial idea, and I know that you can spin it off into hundreds of different ways and go, well, what about those people who have the... But I don't like to apply it to others. I like to apply it to myself. And whenever I've applied this to myself, it's made things more manageable. When I say, okay, I don't like this situation that I'm in, these circumstances that I'm in, but I think that somehow I have chosen these circumstances. Maybe not I in the sense of Brad Warner, me, with my ideas of how things ought to be, but somehow in a higher sense, I have chosen to be in these circumstances, and this is what I got to deal with, and I try to deal with them as best I can. So that's a short treatise on lava lamps and karma and circumstances and gender slightly. That's all I got for today. Thought I'd make you this little video about it and hopefully answer that question that last Monday I didn't have quite enough time to answer as thoroughly as I would have liked. So there you go. I have Patreon and PayPal links below this video. That's how I make my living. That's how I buy lava lamps. I think I got this at the Goodwill, and that's how things work for me. So I really appreciate your ongoing support, and thank you very much. See you next time. Bye.